So after this many years of me using this bag all of the time, I decided it is time to make a new one. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to remake this bag. For years, I've been using this beautiful bag. This is the Baker Street bag by So Sweetness. It's one of her free patterns. And I made this bag about 6 or 7 years ago. I can't really remember, but it's been a while. And this was one of those first bags I made where I was kind of learning how to make bags. So I used quilting cotton for the exterior, and I used chambray for the lining and for the slip pockets. And it was an easy bag because it required no hardware, just the zipper here at the top. The original pattern, it has the smooth front and back panels. But I decided back then that I wanted to add a zipper pocket to the outside here. And I wasn't very experienced when I was making this bag. And I think it turned out really good for being one of my first bags and using a domestic sewing machine. But when I did the zipper pocket here on the front, it came apart rather fast, actually. I've been using it like this for years now. And it's because I didn't know that I needed to make the zipper a little bit longer, etc. But why this bag? I mean, I have several bags and a lot of them I really enjoy wearing and using and making. However, this one bag, I love the size of it because I can fit here my wallet, my keys, my iPad, a notebook. I carry a lot of things, my Bible. So this is a very good size bag. It really is. And so today we're going to make it again, but this time I am going to use faux leather. So this is the one I remade. And as you can see, it's so wide on the inside. You can fit so many things. It has the slip pockets here. Here's my purse pal, glasses, pens, and then you have the front pocket again. So what I'm going to share with you today is how to make this Baker Street bag using faux leather all on the outside, waterproof canvas on the inside. So there are some slight modifications that I had to do because of the faux leather, but it's really not a big deal. As you can see, I added an overlay here to the front zipper and I made the front zipper longer, etc. So I'm going to share with you how to make the bag using faux leather instead of quilting cotton, how to add that overlay here to the front zipper, how to make that front zipper. The zipper panel here, I actually stitched it a little bit higher up than the original. The original, you have almost an inch of space here. I stitched this a little bit higher because if the zipper panel is a little bit taller, I can actually fit a little more things that are a little bit taller. The straps are made with a faux leather as well. And so, and on the inside, I just added a little detail of the trim on the pockets and two rivets. So it's a very easy bag to make. It really is a beginner-friendly bag. For the interfacing is foam for this bag, so I decided to do the same with the faux leather. So the interfacing is actually foam interfacing and not Decoville light or anything like that. You can jump to the specific section of this video if you want to see exactly like how I made the overlay or how I made the zipper tab, etc. I added the timestamps in the description. I want to say this is a free pattern I added the link to the pattern in the descriptions as well, or any fabric, anything that I may use that I may have the link, but I am not an affiliate of So Sweetness. So I just want to make sure that I mention that. And so let's get started. So this is a free pattern. You can go download it at So Sweetness website, and it's the same pattern for the exterior, the lining, the interfacing, the pockets, everything. So pretty easy. Here's the exterior, front and back, and the foam. Okay, I used this fusible adhesive because for once my foam is not fusible, and even if it was, I couldn't really apply it because of the faux leather. Really can't use the heat, so I used this, but I am not very 100% convinced that it's working, as you can tell here by this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that technique that I talk about here, actually in this video that I'm tagging you here, and where I show you how to join the foam to the fabric or the exterior material, um, so that it's secured, and it also makes the seam allowance flatter, because as you can see, the foam is really thick. So when you're stitching this in place, it gets bulky. So go ahead and watch that. And so I'm going to do that and I'll come back. So after we have attached the foam to the front and back exterior panels, as well as the bottom gusset panel, we're going to put these aside. The next thing I need to mention is the pockets, the inside pockets. So the pattern says to cut 4 of these if you're using quilting cotton, but because I'm using waterproof canvas, I'm only cutting 2, one for each side, front and back. And the reason for that is, I have my waterproof canvas here, and it looks okay on the wrong side of the fabric. Really doesn't look bad, and it won't fray. But even though it won't fray, I'm going to add a little piece of the faux leather here to kind of give it a nice little accent touch. Okay, so it kind of looks finished. The pattern piece includes a 1/4 inch seam allowance here on the very top of the pocket. And that's because when you're joining both of them together, you stitch them in place and then you flip them over. So you have that seam allowance on the top. And in this case, I don't have that. So I have 2 options. I can either fold this by a 1/4 inch and then add the little piece of the faux leather over it, or I can do what I'm getting ready to do right now, which is just trim off a 1/4 inch from the top. And truly, this step is optional. Um, if you like your pocket to be a 1/4 inch taller than it's supposed to be, you can leave it just the way it is, and that will be fine. Let me do it this way. It's easier for me to see this way. Okay, there you go. But I decided to, you know, trim it off. Just why not? And just kind of for the purposes of this video to show you the difference when you're using waterproof canvas instead of quilting cotton. So to add the little pieces of faux leather on the edge here of the pockets, I cut 2 strings of my faux leather. They're about 5/8 of an inch. You can do 5/8 to an inch. It's up to you, whatever you want or how much fabric you have. And I just put a little piece of my double-sided tape along the edge, the top edge of the pocket. And this is a 1/4 inch double-sided tape, which also helps as a guide when I'm placing the little piece of faux leather. And just carefully place it along that edge of my double-sided tape. Okay, so I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and just stitch it along the bottom here, 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, 4mm stitch length. Okay, so now we have our pocket done. We're going to place it over the lining piece. This is the right side. This is the wrong side, so you're looking at both right sides. And you're going to align it all along the bottom and the sides. And you're going to draw a middle line here because we're going to have 2 pockets. I like the sizes of these pockets, so I know you could probably say, well, I can have 3 pockets. You can divide it by 3, but remember to include your seam allowance. So I'm just going to stick with, in this case, I'm just going to stick to what the pattern says. So I'm just going to take my pattern piece and find that half point and just draw a line with my chalk. Okay. And that's where I'm going to stitch it and do the same with the other one. When you take it to the sewing machine, I am going to start here at the very bottom, but I'm going to stop right at the edge where my faux leather begins. Okay, so go ahead and do that now. Okay, so I forgot to mention to also stitch around the edges here. That way now your pocket is in there. This is optional completely, but I want to add a little rivet there and in the center to kind of make it look cute. So I am going to mark the center. I'm going to eyeball it, but I'm going to mark the center, and I don't want to cut my stitch line. So I'm just going to poke the hole right there. And the rivet is going to cover it anyway, but I don't want to cut the stitch line. So I'm just going to get this fabric in there. I don't want to, poke my fabric by mistake. I'm just going to fold this a little more so it can fit in there. Okay, there it is. Beautiful. Okay, next. And you will use, whatever setting tool you have for your rivets at this point. The next thing you're going to do after finishing the pocket here, it's making the zipper tab for the top of the bag, which I follow the instructions, same as the pattern instruction says. The only thing is that because I'm using faux leather and waterproof canvas, I don't have to fold the seam allowance like it is explained in the pattern. And so I went ahead and made my panels here a 1/4 inch smaller on the short edges and one side of the long edges. Okay, that's the only thing I made different. Now, this is my original bag that we're remaking. this is that panel right here. Okay. I don't know. It seems to me that my zipper is, I guess I didn't cut it long enough. Well, it happens. Okay. So you see the distance between here, this part, and the panel. I want this to be a little bit higher because sometimes, like, I like to put things like I put this notebook, and this is a pretty big notebook, and it fit perfectly in my bag. But sometimes things are a little tight, they're a little taller, and I figure if I have this much room, I can just raise this zipper panel up a little, and it will give me more room inside the bag to add something else that is taller. The distance here originally is a 1 inch, 1.5 inches. So I'm thinking I'm going to do 1 inch so that I can leave just an extra half an inch room. So at the end, this is 1 inch, so it may be half an inch left. We'll see. We'll see what happens, but I'm going to do 1 inch, okay? So for that, I take my ruler and I measure 1 inch from the top edge, and I'm going to place a line. And I'm going to mark an inch down, and this is one of the pockets. Okay, so right side facing down, I'm just going to center this and go ahead and stitch it and follow the instructions just like it says in the pattern, and then do the same for the other side, which is this one. Also do 1 inch and join them like this. Okay, so that is the other thing I'm going to do that is a little bit different from the original pattern. So here's the main thing that I changed on this bag, which was adding a front zipper pocket. This is obviously completely optional, but I want to, like I mentioned before, I want to make the same style here. Obviously, I messed up when I first made it, so we're going to fix this. We're going to make it just like it. Okay. First thing is you're going to take the panel that you want to add your zipper pocket on, and you're going to measure 2 inches down from the top and mark a line. So use something that is not going to stain or leave a mark on your fabric. So I'm using this chalk. Then you're going to find the middle point on that line. And I want my zipper to be 6 inches long. So I measure 3 inches from the middle point to the right and 3 inches from the middle point to the left. So that is exactly the middle. I have my zipper. My zipper is actually 8 inches long because I want an extra inch from the edge. That way I prevent having the same issue I had before. I have 2 pieces of fabric for my pocket. This is quilting cotton and is 8 inches long by 5 inches, uh, sorry, 8 inches wide by 5 inches long. And I only added interfacing on the top and bottom just to reinforce the area where I'm going to stitch the zipper and the seam. Okay. The next thing I like to do is make the zipper pocket a little bit different compared to the original. So as you can see, the original I used what is called a welted zipper. I think that's how it is. I'm going to find out, and if it's not, I'll write it down here. Anyway, this one is the one that you fold the seam here. And I thought about doing that, but then I thought it's going to be too bulky because you have the foam and the faux leather and all of that. So I don't think that's going to be good or nice. So I decided to add a zipper overlay. For the zipper overlay, there are so many free templates online. You can make your own or buy a template. Acrylic templates is up to you. But So Sweetness also has these free templates. So you can download those if you want, trace them into this little plastic sheets that you find at the dollar store, or print them on thicker paper, up to you. But we're going to trace this one. I like this one. So I have here my fabric, and I started there, but I'm not too convinced. So we're going to start by measuring this. Okay, I want 6 inches. So the opening here has to be 6 inches. So I know that if I draw a line on my fabric here as straight as possible, right? So let me draw a line here. Okay. That is going to be my line where I'm going to use to guide here the zipper, the opening for the zipper. Okay. And this opening is how many inches? 1, 2, 3 inches. Okay, so perfect. It's half and half. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to draw that line and align the line that I drew with the line here of the opening for the zipper overlay. And then I'm going to draw that like that. Draw it here along the edges. Okay. And because I know this is 3 inches, I'm going to do it again, but on this side now like this. I flip it and then I draw the other 3 inches, and I should have my 6 inches. And then all you're going to do is just use your ruler and your pen to kind of make your lines look nicer, better, straighter, whatever. And now we're going to cut this. And we also cut the center here. We fold it to cut the opening for the center. So just make sure that you trim off a lot of that foam away from the opening and some of the fabric. You just want the overlay to show on the outside. For the zipper, once you stitch the two pieces of quilting cotton along the edge of the zipper, use your iron and just press it so that the seam kind of falls flat, especially on the back of the zipper. That will help kind of the fabrics that stay in place a little bit, the zipper tape. And you're going to make sure your zipper pull is facing in the direction that you want it to. And I am just going to put a couple of pieces of double-sided tape along the top and bottom edges of the zipper tape here. Okay. And now we're just are going to center the zipper along the opening, and I want all of my zipper to be over this panel. So I am not going to trim off anything. I did this on purpose. Okay. So this part, it's a little tricky, but just take your time and just make sure that you are happy with the placement of your zipper, and make sure that you have enough zipper tape both on both sides. And that's it. And then take it to the sewing machine and stitch it around the inner rectangle here. And this is how it looks. Now for the back, you will have a little bit of extra fabric, and that's okay. What we're going to do is that we're just going to trim it off to make it even. And I'm just going to trim off just that extra piece of fabric. And so now both pieces are even. And I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and I'm going to join the pockets together. I'm going to start stitching from the top here of the zipper to the side, bottom, and then the top. And my front pocket, my front zipper pocket is done. And now continue making your Baker Street bag following the pattern instructions from Sew Sweetness.